tribal councils, and they were talking about the same thing, about how they had had that experience where they had spoken with Border Patrol about erratic driving or aggressive driving and how it went away for a few weeks and then it came back. And the issue they were addressing during their meeting was whether or not to kick the Border Patrol out of the, what I understood to be the Sells Community Center, or the customs building, or something like that. Because the people have had their patience tried and have felt like they've come to their wits' end, I guess. And so we feel that working with them more proactively can help avoid problems for Border Patrol, as well as avoid some of the problems that we're most concerned with. Yes?
Are the individual Border Patrolmen, are they hired from this area, this community, or are they from outside the community?
You know, it depends. Mostly they're folks from outside the community because Border Patrol had a very aggressive hiring program. They had to increase their number of troops by thousands. We have 18,500 now on our southwest border alone, and that's an increase. They've doubled within the last, it's just been less than 10 years and the force has doubled. So they had to hire a ton of people. So they got people from all over the place. Some are locals, most are not. And one thing that they used to do a lot was rotate people through, kind of station people in different areas geographically on a regular schedule. The idea being that they wouldn't get corrupted by, I don't know, local drug smugglers or something like that. They've started to lean away from that strategy, and they have a lot more people who are stationed in one particular place and are encouraged to get to know the community so that the community can have better relations with them. And I hope that some of you know, or maybe we have some agents in the audience tonight who are more along that line and are part of the community and more engaged in that way. Because I think that's probably helpful. Is that sort of what you meant in terms of community relations? Or?
I think that if people that are coming here to do this work, they're just getting a message from Homeland Security without being part of this community, they would be totally insensitive to this community, this goal about the desert.
Yeah, and those are the problems that we're seeking to address. So hopefully having agents stationed here will help address that, and then some of these other projects we're working on will hopefully help as well.
Do you know how many are expected, what is the number that they're working towards? I mean, you have 19,000 now. Do you have any numbers for the future?
No numbers for the future, but there has been proposals. For example, you remember the immigration proposal that passed the Senate? It had something called the border surge attached to that proposal. And that would actually spend about $42.5 billion to double the border walls, double the size of the Border Patrol, and invest in all sorts of gadgetry and drones and whatnot. So that is something that we oppose. We support the reform, but we oppose that kind of border buildup that would just make our problems worse. So for now, there are no additional agents. In fact, there are certain positions that can't be filled because of budget problems and things like the sequester. So we don't anticipate too many more agents being added. And I can see my time is up.
Excuse me, sir. We do have a representative from the Border Patrol. And maybe your questions would be best directed to him. As he speaks a little bit later.
Excellent. So I'll just finish up and show you some of the things I have on the table over there. I've got different stickers. This is in sticker form, poster form, or t-shirt form. And those are just suggested donations. So if you don't have the cash, you don't feel like dropping it, please pick up a DVD anyway, pick up a sticker, pick up a poster. And I'd love to if you like this design, we've got men's and women's size t-shirts. And if you want to donate, that's how to do it. And again, that's our website. So thanks again for having me, and I really appreciate it.
As he said, he's going to be here to answer questions later, and we will also have Vicente Papo here at the end in our regular community presentations, and I hope you don't surprise him too much. I don't think he was prepared to give it, but he's here to help answer questions, to help the Border Patrol work with us also, and work with groups like Sierra Club. And I want to thank everybody for coming and attending tonight, and now we'll go on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Okay. Yeah, now it is. Yes, thank you very much, Dan. That was really interesting. I've heard of Sierra Club for years, but I've never really heard it. So I'm glad that you were here this evening to keep us informed. And Tina, thank you for your work in getting me here. Tina's responsible for our speakers.
Well, I'd like to say that Tracy might want to say more about this tonight, but I found out about Dan when I first heard his presentation, and many other naturalists and educators at the Sonoran Desert Symposium.
Okay, probably you will mention that. Now, we were going to have another speaker, Michelle McCurry, introducing Norma Gomez and her new job, but Michelle couldn't make it this evening. She will be here at a later meeting, so you're going to have to come back and find out what Norma's new job is. And now we'll go on to our regular reports, and Paul, would you introduce those folks?
It's my pleasure to introduce Deb Miller from Supervisor Bronson's office. It's good to have her back again. She's been missing for a couple of months.
Hello, everyone. I'll give you a heads up right up front. Forgot my hearing aids at home. So if you got a question, it has to be loud. I brought some goodies. Spatulas, heavy duty, sturdy. Clean out the grease, keep it out of the sink. Help yourself, put back on the table. I also bought some free, and this is all free, guys, some free tire gauges. Important. We all know how important it is to keep the tires inflated at the proper rate. Saves you gas mileage, helps the environment. So goodies on the back table, help yourself. I also have a few resource guides from the Sheriff's Department. Not a whole lot, but there are a few, if you need a copy. For those that don't know, I'm retired. But, except for Ajo. So I will continue to come back when if you need to get a hold, I don't go into the office anymore. So if you have an issue and a problem, you just call the office, either Jennifer or our chief of staff, Kiki, will handle the problem. If they can't, they'll call me. All right? They'll get a hold of me. You can either call the office or email the office. And Mike, if you could put the telephone number, which you've done a million times, 724-8051, and the email address is district3, the numeric 3, at Pima.gov. Anybody have any questions or county issues that I can help you with? Sure.
I was in touch with the office. I emailed to Deb. Her email still works. The office answers it. I was asking about cleaning out the washes because there's a lot of trees growing in the washes. And the response was, it is the county's responsibility, and just tell them what wash needs it and they'll get on it.
There was a map at one time that showed the washes that the county was responsible for, and then the washes that Freeport National was responsible for, because they own some of the land and stuff too. So I think that map's at the library still. So Linda Lamb's probably aware of that. But absolutely, just call the office. Jen has been there almost 5 years. Kiki's been there 10 plus. So they're very familiar. If they don't know the intricacies of Ajo, they just give me a buzz. All right? So nothing is changing. I'll be up here to hassle you once a month. Okay? And to meet with you if you need me. So that's it.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. I was looking for Sergeant Seeley. He was here earlier from the Sheriff's Department. He's gone. He knew how to get out of here. Dr. Dooley.
It's always a pleasure to talk about our kids and what we're trying to do with school. Thank you, Paul. It's a pleasure to talk about our students. It's the best part of our job. We have been, as you know, those of you who are full-time residents of Ajo, in the last 3 or 4 years, have been putting a concerted effort in improving what's happening in school as far as student performance. Mr. McKenzie knows me to be out of town, so I'm the switch hitter tonight. So he's out of town doing something that he probably doesn't want to talk about. I don't know. But Brian McKenzie works very hard, and his staff works very hard to for your kids and your grandchildren, and I appreciate that support. He mentioned last week, I saw in the paper about our graduation rate, something we're pretty proud of. We had miscalculated. We were excited because we got to 78.5%, which is the highest we've been in 10 years as far as high school graduation rate. We read some stuff on the internet this past month from ABE. We had more students in that class, 2013 cohort, than ABE did, Arizona Department of Ed, so we actually had 84.5%, which is almost 10% higher than state average. So when people talk about Ajo kids, talk about Ajo schools, that's a success that please remind them of. We appreciate it. We have our governor in the last session put forth a plan. She called it Celebrating Student Success. I'm not in favor of it, but the formula made us look good, so I'll talk about that part. The plan was to take money away from schools that were not performing as well as they should and reward those folks that are performing well. Well, that's backward thinking, in my opinion. If we had enough money to help all of our kids do well, we would be performing better. Anyhow, we got an email from Arizona school business officials this past week and talked about how much money each district in the state, now there's 220 excess and more districts in the state, that does not count charters. Ajo would have gotten the 4th highest amount because that's how much relative gain we have made in the last 2 or 3 years on student performance. So I feel real good about that. And probably the point where I'd be very comfortable with our granddaughter this year. We also, we're talking about money with the border issues. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. I would love to have 1 mile of that money to help our school. We would be in tall cotton forever. So we do try to operate the district as financially sound as we can. Small districts like ours are not as efficient as large districts because you have to have a principal where you have 100 kids or 1,000 kids. You have to have a superintendent. You don't have to, but I'm glad the board chose to, or I wouldn't be living in beautiful downtown Ajo. So you have overhead regardless of the size of your school or your school district. The Auditor General does a lot of work gathering data about districts. We have 4 classifications: very low, low, comparable, and exceeds. On the internet this week it came out that as far as administration costs per child, we are very, very low. I'm going to ask for a raise. No, we are very, very low. That's a big deal. When you talk about the charities or things like that, you want to know how much money is going to actually benefit the organization. So we're very, very low. We are very, very low in transportation. We're also very, very low, at least one area there, in plant operations. Freeman knows he used to work for us and we didn't pay him anything. The other area that we're comparable is in food services. That's the only area we came close to being comparable in. So we think we're getting a pretty good result for the taxpayers' buck. I was here 2 months ago and I was asked a question, what are we going to do about funding with the loss of the school improvement grants we've had for the last 3 years? And I sidestepped the issue because I didn't know what we were going to do. And it's a painful process. We've had to cut staff. My goal, and my poor wife has heard me give this quote 1,000 times, Einstein had a quote that said the definition of stupidity or of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Please don't quote me, Mike. Everybody's sick of that quote. But that's true. It would have been very easy to balance the budget. All we would have had to do is go back and cut off everything we did to try to improve what we've been doing the last 3 or 4 years. But we would have returned to pre-improvement status. So what we're trying to do is come up with a marriage of salvaging some of the improvement things we're doing for children and still cutting over $500,000 from operation budget in 1 year. That hurt big time. One of the things that we're doing, if you have grandchildren that need a little more attention in 2 weeks, we have spring break the week of March 17th. Those children who are in need of more time to prepare for the Ames exams, or the elementary students who are not proficient readers, we're using some of this funding. We're having school 4 days that week. So half a day, it's not going to kill them if we get up at 8 o'clock and go home at noon. Encourage them to come and enroll or talk to your neighbors and so on and so forth. It's called Intersection. We have a good crop of teachers that will be there working with our children in a week. So we cannot add more days to the school year. We cannot add more hours to the school day and keep children's attention. So what we try to do is manipulate the time that we have within the calendar, and this is an example of that. So thank you for your attention.
We appreciate what you're doing.
From the Desert Cinita Community Health Center, J.D. Kessler or Laura Gonzalez, which was the two? Toss a coin.
Hello everyone, my name is Laura Gonzalez and I'm new to Desert Cinita. I just started January 9th. I work in quality improvement and in outreach, and I'm really happy to be here. I was born and raised here in Ajo, and I went to school, lived in different places, and I'm back. And I'm very excited. The reason I'm here is to talk to you about the golf tournament that Desert Cinita is going to have as a fundraiser. We are very excited about it. It's going to be our first one, and it's going to take place on April 12th. It's the fee, or the amount of money that is going to cost for a person to play golf is going to be $75. And I know that that seems very, very steep, but after all, it is a fundraiser, and that's what we're trying to do. Now, the draw to this golf tournament is the prizes that we have. We have all kinds of wonderful